All right, welcome to our class for CEE 470, Surface Water Hydrology for the fall 2020. Most of you know me from our time together, even though it was brief from last spring semester. I'm going to be your instructor, Professor Mark French. Here I am in my office recording this for us. This is going to be our syllabus overview so that I can explain some of the details to you. Most of you have probably seen all of the adjustments that we've had to make online throughout online announcements. So I just want to go through this course with you, the overview of it, so that you'll have an idea of what to expect in class. So let's go ahead and look at the course outline together, the syllabus, and I think that'll explain some of the unknowns or how the course is going to work. So I've got that document showing right here, and let's look at that together. So pretty much the standard things you're going to see are catalog description here, prereqs, most of you have had that or something similar. What is our schedule? So this is the first kind of adjusted thing. One thing to note, yes, the course, like all your courses should be, they're fully available online. So if you wanted to, you could take this class fully online and wouldn't have to attend any of the face-to-face meetings. We are, for face-to-face meetings, using what we're calling this hybrid format. And what this means is that you'll be assigned to an attendance group, and then you can attend that. You can attend class 25% of the time, which for this course comes out to be about every other week, one day. So we have 4 groups in our class because that's the maximum we can fit in our classroom. And so we will be having our face-to-face meetings at the same time as in the schedule. So all of these things are what you'll need to consider. Now, one thing I think I may not have put in here, but it's in the announcement on Blackboard also, is that I'm having 5 places in our class that will be reserved for standby, meaning that if you want to try to attend every single class meeting, you're welcome to do that. And it means that there are 5 seats or desks in the room that you have to just show up and come in and sit in one of those. So what we'll do is we'll have some kind of ticket outside the door, and you'll take one of those, and if you have one, you can go sit down. If you don't, then you won't be able to come in unless it's your attendance day. All right, so let's go on here. Office hours, here again, you're gonna have to just call me, email me. We can do an MS Teams meeting, something like that. That's the only way we can do office hours now. What are our books for this? So most of these are available as ebooks. The first one here is this book. I'm going to show it to you right now. See if that can show up. Yep. 4th edition. That's the author. This is what the cover looks like. How will we be using this book? Do you need this book? I will be using the problems out of this book for your kind of competency assignments. So you'll need at least access to those. I might be able to post those problems, and probably will, for you in the document section. But you will still need to be able to refer back to the content in it, as well as our class content, to be able to solve the problems and then answer the competency review. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. So if you don't want to buy the book, are there other books that are available? Yes, many references are available for the topics we cover in this class, and I've listed a few of them here. And many of them come from our U.S. government agencies that have hydrology engineers there. So here is this National Engineering Handbook, and there's a part specifically on hydrology. And then here's the Urban Design Manual from Federal Highway Administration. That's a great source for some hydrology references. So note, there's an urban one, and then there's highway hydrology. And then a couple others. Here's highway hydraulics. So just like we had last term with the hydraulics class, these two things, hydraulics and hydrology, are related. In this course, we kind of have a complementary take on water compared to 370. So just briefly, remember in 370 we learned laws of physics, properties of water, how water behaves when it flows through pipes, when it's in containers, so static, and hydrodynamics when it's flowing, these kind of things. Well, in a way, that was very nice from an engineering point of view because we controlled basically how the water was going to flow. Of course, we had to control it within its own properties, but we could put a pipe bend in, we could put a valve in, that kind of thing. This course is really interesting because it is a kind of mirror image to that, or negative image to that. Not negative in a way that it's not good, but it's the part that was missing. So these two things come together and make one kind of uniform approach to looking at water in engineering applications. So what we're going to be trying to look at now is nature, rainfall, hitting the ground, running off into streams, causing streams to fill. What happens then? The streams move and flow. The water fills up. Maybe it floods. Maybe it gets caught in a dam, either man-made or natural, and then it flows out of there in some way. So these are the kind of areas that we're going to be studying in this course. And so you can think that it's much more challenging from an engineering point of view now to come up with equations, formulas, parameters that describe how nature gives us water in kind of society, in areas where, as civil engineers, we need to know how to deal with that water. Now think of this is also where all of our water supply comes from, runoff, rainfall, streams, that's where we get most of it. We also get some from groundwater sources, of course, but anyway, we're not addressing that in this course. This is all about surface water. All right, let's keep going here. Want to let you know one other reference, our regular old Fundamentals of Engineering reference handbook this summer. It's been completely revised. Not that it's been revised significantly, but it has been changed. And it is now designed for better use with the computer-based testing for the FE licensure test. So this book is available for download electronically from NCEES. And I want to look at that briefly with you. We'll look at that more later, but let me bring up this one section that I want to share with you. I'm going to put it over here. So if you do get the handbook, it's worth looking at this section. This section shows you what the content is for the civil engineering section. So if you look at this, you can see the number of questions and what areas they address. So for example, the knowledge that the FE test is going to evaluate you on includes questions from math and statistics, 8 to 12 questions, ethics and professional practice, 4 to 6 questions. Goes on like that. Let's go to the next page. You can see economic statics, which you know, dynamics, mechanics of materials, materials in general, so that you can see it says concrete and asphalt, fluid mechanics. So we've already looked at some of this in our hydraulics class. Flow measurement, fluid properties, fluid statics, energy, impulse, and momentum. Surveying, and now we get into the part water resources and environmental engineering. So 10 to 15 questions. You can look at that and think, well, that's one of the larger sections, as well as structural and geotechnical, as you can see in this document. So let's go back here and look at that water resources and environmental engineering topic. You can see here basic hydrology, infiltration, rainfall runoff, and watersheds. Come down here a little bit more. Dams, routing, and spillways, detention, routing, and water quality, wastewater and stormwater collection systems. So we'll be hitting on a few of these in our class. So remember, you're also taking the 471 class next semester, your last semester for the bachelor degree, and that's where you'll look at some of these others with wastewater collection and water treatment and some of the basic water treatment chemistry. All right, so we've got this. Let's move this back out of the way. Great. Okay, so let's keep going here. What are the other things we need to know about? Well, we've all been dealing with that. So I just want to show you for classes, we go down here looking at what the directives are. Everybody has to wear a mask. They gave us these really nifty U of L masks. So in class, we're going to need to have all these on. So you probably see me on also with this thing, the face shield. Why? Because it's supposed to be better for somebody who's talking in the class to have this on so that whatever I don't spread. So anyway, there we go. You'll see me in class probably like this. All right. So the neat thing is we don't need that for this part, the recording. All right, so I want you to read through these. These are all the things we're asked to share with you. Special IT wording, and then of course Title IX wording has always been there, but they want to make sure we have that. So I just clipped this out from our email. Okay, how is class going to work? Let's look at our course operation overview. So remember, it's not required that you attend the face-to-face. Course face-to-face allows you to, well, see your classmates and to maybe have a more kind of engaged interaction. What will happen in the class? The classes will all be recorded using Collaborate, so I will be setting up this camera in the class, and whatever happens in the class will be recorded, and you'll be able to see that at any time you want, or you'll be able to connect in live. We will be in the classroom, and this will be recorded through Blackboard. All right, so basically that's what all these bullet points say, but I do need you to check your attendance group. So these attendance groups, they're listed in the gradebook page. So if you go to Blackboard, go to the grades, you will see attendance group in one of the columns, and you will have a letter A, B, C, D. So those are just the partitions of the class into the 4 groups so that each group can attend 25% of our class meeting times. There we go. So remember this one. Like I said, you will have the option to attend every class if you come early to get one of the standby seats. All right. Of course, the classes will be live through Collaborate, and then that'll be recorded so you can watch it anytime. Let's keep going. There may be no new content in the face-to-face class meetings. Sometimes, if nobody has any questions, we may just view some part of the recorded session together and then possibly discuss some of the points of it. So there's no content necessarily that you'll be missing by not being in the class room. It does mean you won't be able to live ask questions. So to help compensate for that, I have added a discussion board in Blackboard. And so if you miss something and you want to ask a question, please post it there so that we can all benefit from seeing the answer to a question, because it might be a common question others have. All right, what are the kinds of topics that we're covering in this class? As I said, we're trying to look at water in the natural environment and how it impacts civil engineering. And so this has been around for a long time. People have been building bridges in urban areas for a long time and trying to design bridges to resist the flow of water in streams, that kind of thing. So really what we're trying to do is find out what are the engineering methods for stormwater runoff. That's the briefest way we could say this. And so we will go through all the steps from rainfall, and as it comes down, what do we have to know about the land? How does then, once rain falls on the land, how does it flow off into a stream? And then what does the quantity of water look like when it's in the stream? And then finally, how are we going to manage that water? Meaning, how can we control the flow of water in a stream? There are different ways we can do that depending on the amount of water that we have and what are we trying to do with it. So that kind of thing is what we'll be looking at here. What are some of the things that we'll be using? Yes, you already know some of these. Continuity equation is really an important part for hydrology. And remember that, conservation of mass. And what we usually did was say the inflow equals outflow. So that becomes an important thing for us. Then imagine this one's statistics and probability. It's why you're usually recommended to have that class before this one, although it's not required, I think. One of the things we're trying to do is understand for every location what is the kind of water we should expect for stream flow that engineering might have to deal with. So you can imagine this depends on what does the rainfall look like? What does soil moisture look like? What kind of vegetation do we have? And all of these things, of course, change with season, maybe with year, with time, this kind of thing. So to be able to kind of quantify that or look at those changes and how we might be able to come up with a formula that can describe that, we need to look at statistics of the data that is available to describe rainfall, land use, soil types, land slope, channel sizes, this kind of thing. So that's why we have that in here. Momentum equation, we want to look at how does water flowing in a stream going upstream then transform to flow downstream. So there are changes that happen there. If it's flooding in Cincinnati, which is upstream on the Ohio River from us, how many days until that reaches Louisville? If it's a flood magnitude in Cincinnati, is it a flood magnitude in Louisville? So those are things to think about. How will we get there? Newton's first and second law, like we've looked at before. Static, sum of forces equals 0. And then for flow, we have to look at sum of forces equals ma. Momentum. And finally, we looked briefly at the end of hydraulics class at Manning's equation. So that is one of the equations that are part of our FE test. We want to revisit that for open channel flow. Okay, so with a lot of that, I'm going to leave some of this for you to read about. Some of it is what I've already been talking to you about. The author of our book, this kind of thing. Here's the important part you'll want to look at is how are we scoring the class. So you're going to see here content review, competency assessment. So approximately each week, I'm going to give you a quiz on Blackboard so that those of you who want to take this course without attending any of the face-to-face classes can do so. It'll be based on the content of our courses sessions. So if you watch the course sessions, probably 2 per week, then you'll be able to take the online review test or quiz, however you want to say it. You'll have about 10 questions, 2 points each, and then that just verifies you watched that content and can answer the questions. It'll be a timed thing, so you'll want to make sure that you review and take some notes before you do watch those. All right, then what else do we have? The main part, 4 projects. You can see that's going to be the 60% of your grade. These are projects that will take some hours, and they're based directly off of the class content information. So we'll be going through what do you need to do to complete these projects. Project 1, I think, is already posted for you, so you can look at that. And note that the data we use for the projects are real data from our U.S. Geological Survey flow data gauges for streams. So we're going to be looking at runoff and rainfall. In fact, I think the first one is rainfall. So take a look at that. Letter grades, pretty much standard scale there. Late assignments, same kind of thing. If you need to make up an assignment or redo one that you got a low grade on, you can contact me and redo that once the grade is posted. Great. So here is our kind of course schedule. Let's take a look at that. As I said, each session you will have an attendance group. Now, one thing that we've been directed to do is not have any class on the first day, meaning no class face-to-face attendance. So we will have a class that day, and we will look at a review assignment. So I will be posting that also for you before that first day. And what that means is then on the first day, we'll review that together again. All right. So on Thursday, 8:20, attendance group A can come to the classroom at the scheduled time. On 8:25, attendance group B, that's the next week, and it just goes on like that. Now note, for Derby, U of L has decided not to have any classes face-to-face because of traffic issues nearby campus because we're so close to Churchill Downs. So that one will be online only also. But then we'll just go on along as it's shown here. No issues coming up as far as scheduling. Going back here, what about tests? Are we having tests? No, there's no like official tests for this class. There are these competency reviews that are going to be shorter, and they're going to be multiple choice, some quantitative, some true-false questions. So it's going to be based on that. At this point, it'll be up to you to get out of this class as much as you care to get. So you could note that, can you pass this class without doing any competency assessments? Yes, if you make 100% on all the projects. So most people, for some reason or another, do not make 100% on all the projects. But if you did, you would have 60% of your grade, which would get you a passing grade. Okay, let's go on. Rest of the schedule there. Note again, at Thanksgiving, as you probably know, we will not be meeting face-to-face after that. There's one class meeting is all for that. And then the final project, if you choose to do it, again, that'll be an optional one, I think. Let's go back here and see. Yeah, final project is optional. It'll replace one of your others if you did poorly on it. Okay, so important dates are listed there. How is this course related to the FE? We kind of looked at that already. From Water Resources and Environmental Engineering, here are the topics listed, and here are the courses that address those. So you can see this course comes into play on a few of those. All right, and then the ABET course content, here are the listing of what we should be able to do after this. There are 8 areas that ABET looks for outcomes, and we touch on numbers 1, 2, 3, 7, and 8. All right. And then, of course, the last part are all the university policies, the Code of Student Conduct, rights and responsibilities, academic dishonesty in speed school, and then integrity in this course. Again, the only thing I'll emphasize to everybody is to make sure to do your own work for this because there is a lot of computer-based assignments for this. And I do want you to work together or collaborate, ask each other questions as you would like to, but make sure when you turn in your work that nobody else has copied it or you've shared it, because it's very easy to tell when 2 assignments are done identically. Anyway, you probably know that by now. All right, I'm going to stop here. That's our overview of the syllabus, and we'll stop with that one. Thank you.